Welcome to this latest edition of the Ril Dil Podcast. I'm your host, Ril Dil Quinn, recording this on a Wednesday. We have, this time last week, we thought, I thought that summer was upon us. Now we're back to good old winter these last couple of days. So, it's March Madness, so anything is possible with the weather come March. Busy program, a lot transpired this past week. We're going to begin, this is episode 1045, titled Sinners, and certainly we'll get to that later on in the podcast. But I'll begin with the association. Big week of NBA basketball. A lot of top teams had a lot of showdowns in the NBA this past week. And we're going to begin with the best team in basketball right now, the team that to me is a clear favorite to win the chip this year. That has constantly to me separated themselves, and that's Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is in the midst of a 9-game winning streak. They are currently 54-15, 3 games ahead of San Antonio, the San Antonio Spurs for best record in the Western Conference. San Antonio is playing great as well. Um, Oklahoma City this week, they take out um, that wins over Denver, Boston, Minnesota, and at Orlando. Um, just and I would say that the the Minnesota win to me, I thought was as well as Boston was playing. I thought the Minnesota win was probably the most impressive. It's on a Sunday afternoon. It's an early game, even though it's at home. Your best player is having probably the worst game of the season. Probably one of the worst games he's had in the last 2 years, to be perfectly honest with you. He barely makes the 20 points, and I was actually happy that he extended it because he absolutely played the right way, moved the basketball, didn't wasn't forcing jacking shots, um, and the game was somewhat still in doubt in the fourth quarter. Really, so I was happy that he was able to extend that streak, which is just one of the more remarkable records in NBA history to score 20 points in 127 straight games. Now I think 128 with what transpired last night, the 40-point game last night he had against Orlando, which is again, one of the more remarkable records and streaks in NBA history. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I thought that Minnesota game, they did not play. Oklahoma City didn't play well in the game, and they won the game going away. Minnesota, we know Minnesota plays good. X plays well against top teams. We've seen Minnesota the last 2 years get to the conference finals. We've seen them take out. They embarrassed Phoenix in 24. They won a game 7 at Minnesota. Excuse me, on Denver's home court. Against Joker in 24 as well. And then last year they get back to the conference finals, embarrassing the Lakers, embarrassing, crushing the Lakers and defeating, taking out Golden State. Although Golden State, of course, was hampered with the Curry injury. Although I still think Minnesota wins that series, but this was a game that Oklahoma City, like, just kind of like was going through emotions. Um, and all of a sudden they have another gear, and they can beat you in a multitude of ways. Like they don't. Again, Jalen Williams has yet to return. Um, SGA is having a horrible night, but this team has so much depth of talent that sometimes it doesn't matter. like sometimes it doesn't matter if again that's a rare SGA game. You're not going to get too. You might get that might be the last game you see until next year that he plays, that he shoots the ball like that. Like that's how consistent this guy has been at that level of consistency. I mean, headed towards the fourth straight year of 30 points and over 50% from the field, which is just ridiculous. And he plays both ends of the court. So they they have a just plethora of depth and talent. Um, I was looking through the Ringer has a list of top 100 players that they keep updated something like every couple of months. I think quarterly. Their last updated list came out, I think, in February 24th. So not that about a month ago, a little over less than a month ago. They had 8 players on that list. Eight, eight. The next closest team, I think, had like four. I think Boston has four. Um, yeah, I think Boston had like four, but Oklahoma City by far had the most players on that list of top 100 players in the world in the NBA. And that type of depth, and again, that you're talking about again, they legitimately go 12 deep, legitimately go 12 deep. Um, hear a lot of complaining. They're still getting the complaining about the foul calls. You heard Jalen Brown last week. I don't know if he was speaking to SGA. Maybe he was. That's not basketball. Listen, I, if you have to go to the extent to where you're bitching and moaning about foul calls on them on with Oklahoma City, then I think you're done. I think you're gonna be cooked. Like I'm telling you right now that's not going to beat OKC. Complaining about foul calls to the refs, to the NBA, that's not going to do it against OKC. That's not going. I don't think it does anything for a team. Now, again, all these teams complain about calls. It's gotten ridiculous with the NBA. We see Luca, who actually is playing great right now, but he complains like routinely up and down the court. Every call is horrible. Even calls that, even when he gets and ones, he complains. But I don't like. I look at it like with the old Pistons, the Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars Pistons. Teams used to get they used to get in teams' heads with the physical play. Teams would try to get physical with them, and it didn't work. And it completely psyched themselves out, took teams out of their games, and that's how. And Detroit obviously was talented, but that's a lot of times teams would be defeated before they stepped on the court, worrying about Detroit's physicality. Well, you have enough to worry about SGA, Chet Holmgren, uh, the uh, the 5 or 6 wing players they have, excellent defensive wing players that they have, how they turn you over. You have enough to worry about against that team to be, let alone to come in a game with worrying about whether or not you're going to get foul calls. That ideal is that mindset is not going to work against Oklahoma City. And again, these teams are going to learn the hard way in regards to trying to get calls complaining about how Oklahoma City plays basketball, or even about SGA, the old foul merchant, all that bullshit. Again, no one, in regards to SGA, when he was averaging like almost 11 foul shots a game like 3 years ago, no one cared. Like no one was talking about this because they were not winning. So again, Oklahoma City has needed to stay hot because San Antonio continues to play great. The MVP race has turned into I don't want to push Joker out, but I think it's fair to say right now it would be SGA, Wembanyama, and then Joker as the top three. I think I don't have a problem right now with sliding Joker to third, and it's not like Joker's playing bad basketball. I just think San Antonio is on this incredible streak, has played great basketball, and they don't like they're talented. They have some nice pieces, but they're not overly talented. They're not overly talented. I wouldn't take San Antonio's roster over Denver's roster. Once you get past the superstar players, the two great players with Joker, and once you get past Joker and Wembanyama, I'd probably take Denver's roster this year over San Antonio's roster. I think down the road, possibly. I think down the road, next year or two, certainly San Antonio's, if those guys like Castle and Harper develop the right way, that they will be eventually be much better roster. But right now, I think what Wembanyama is doing, I think he's the best two-way player in the world right now. I think he has eclipsed Giannis as the dominant two-way guy in the league. Like we've seen guys look over the past 10 years or so, 10 to 15 years. It's been Kawhi. last decade. I would say last decade. Let's say those 10 years. Kawhi and Giannis have been the two dominant two-way players that have been as dominant on both sides of the ball. And I think he's certainly entered that category with what he's doing. So you had that going on with OKC continues to roll. They will get a mini vacation in the next 3 games. They have their East Coast 5 game East Coast road trip at Brooklyn, at Washington, and Philadelphia. Like that's again, they could probably rest some players. I don't be surprised if the SGA doesn't play in one of these games. They'd not be surprised. They're going to rest some play. They're going to rest a couple guys with these next 3 games. Also going on, Denver. I thought Denver had um, despite what happened in LA on Saturday night, that was a tough one. It was great for me as a Laker fan, but that was a game that Denver should have won. But I thought Denver had a solid week. They went through a gauntlet. Like they had Houston, San Antonio, Oklahoma City, then LA. They go 2-2 in those games. They absolutely annihilate Houston, and we'll talk more about the Rockets later. They annihilate Houston. Played the best defense they've played all season long, holding Houston to like 93 points. We know Houston's offense is not the greatest, but still, Şengün was healthy. Everybody was healthy for Houston, except of course without except Steven Adams. But they destroyed them. I think they outscored them in that third quarter of that game, like 40 to 20. That really created separation in that game. And then um, the San Antonio game, the San Antonio game, you have to take that game, even though he was on the road. I understand that no one Wembanyama. Yeah. But what I saw in that game was telling in terms of that game came down to the fourth quarter. Fourth quarter, half court execution. Denver still like that 1-2 punch with Joker and Jamal Murray is still like to me in the postseason, as far as the experience, as far as how well they know each other, that's still the best. That's the best 1-2 punch in postseason because those guys again, this is like year 7 of those guys playing with each other. They during crunch time in the postseason, that is still uh, they are still more than a handful to deal with. And it's been perplexing with Denver this year because they actually have not been good in the clutch this season when they used to. There have been years when Denver was clearly a clutch team as far as execution and how they efficiency and things of that nature. This year they've been spotty, they've been shaky, a lot of injuries, of course, different lineups and what have you. But even when they've been healthy of late, they've been shaky. They've lost a couple of close games, but that game against San Antonio, they just picked San Antonio apart. And again, I can't gauge San Antonio offensively without Wembanyama, but we know that is an Achilles heel for San Antonio. They're going to be tested with half court offense, with having to execute in half court offense, and we'll see if they have enough shot creators to possibly get to the NBA Finals, like Western Conference Finals, maybe even the NBA Finals. So I was in. So the LA loss on Saturday night. That's a game that they should have won. Um, Lakers are playing well right now, so it's not a. I can't call it a bad loss because the Lakers are third in the West, and played like 9-1 in their last 10 games. Luka has been unbelievable. Austin Reeves has played at all-star level, and LeBron has accepted his role as the third option, which we know that he has been for this entire year. So that I can't call that. Absolutely cannot call that a bad loss. Listen, I don't. I think Denver. I'm not saying Denver is playing possum. They still have some issues defensively. We know this, but they have again what they have going for them. Of course, you have Joker, you have Jamal Murray playing the best basketball of his career, and you have Aaron Gordon back. And Aaron Gordon has been feast of famine in some of these games, but for the most, he's still trying to find himself in terms of being more consistent. He'll have a good game here, 2 bad games there, and then a good game. But the bottom line is he's getting reps in. He's healthy. Um, Denver fully healthy is still to me the I still have them as the biggest threat to Oklahoma City. I'm gonna tell you something about San Antonio. Again, I love Wembanyama. I love what San Antonio has done, how they built their team. No panic trades. Not like they drafted well. Even this guy, even this new pick, Carter, who was the 14th pick, I believe was the 14th pick this year, is going to be a good player. He's going to be a player for them. You don't go from not making the playoffs to all of a sudden becoming just an immediate championship contender. There are some steps of progression that every team, I don't care who it is, in the history of basketball has taken. The exceptions have been like the '08 Celtics, and they added Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett and won a championship to Paul Pierce, who was already playing, who at that time, Paul Pierce is like a top 10 to 15 player. So they're the anomaly. The San Antonio, Oklahoma City had to go through it. Every young team building to win a championship has to go through it. Hell, Miami with the Heatles, they had to go through it. He didn't like you add Dwayne Wade, they add LeBron James, who at the best player in the world at the time, add Chris Bosh, All Star, get to the finals and lost in the finals to a playoff team. That Miami team in the 2009, 2010 season, they were a playoff team. I believe they went out in the first round. Dwayne Wade is at the peak of his powers. Top five player, second two guard behind Kobe during that time. Um, they still had to go through. They still had to go through it. And remember, that was a weak Eastern Conference as well. The NBA in 2026 is too difficult. The amount of talent, the league is deep. The league has gotten so deep that right now you can make a case that the Eastern Conference is right there with the Western Conference. It's not better because at the top you still have the very best teams. The very best teams are still in the Western Conference up top. But top to bottom, the Eastern Conference has been more balanced this year than the Western Conference, and this is the best record that the conference has had versus the West in years. So you're not going to. I say that to say about San Antonio, the league is too hard, especially the Western Conference. It's too hard to go from not making the playoffs to getting to the NBA Finals. If San Antonio gets to the conference finals, that's a hell of an accomplishment. That would be a major step. You're telling me that if they win two playoff series, that's great. They will go in, I would think that they will go in next year as the favorites to win the championship based on the experience the experience and based on Wembanyama's eventual inevitable becoming the best player in the world, which is coming. It could be next year, it could be the year after at the most, but that's coming. So big week again, great week for Oklahoma City. A solid week and a solid week for Denver, despite the gauntlet um, that they had to go through. As far as the Lakers go, a couple things about the Lakers before. Couple things about the Lakers. Um, Listen, the Lakers are interesting. Uh, they're interesting and they're relevant. That's what I'll say. They're playing good. They're playing good basketball. They have been better defensively. Luca is playing the best basketball that he has in his short tenure as a Laker. It's been unbelievable. If it wasn't for literally, it's taken SGA and Wembanyama having just these ridiculous years for Luca not to be the MVP or considered or in that conversation. Like I understand Jalen Brown and Cade have been are better from a two-way standpoint, but Luka Doncic is a better player than Jalen Brown. He's a better player than Cade Cunningham. Period. And you're not starting a franchise. You're not taking either one of those players over Luka Doncic in terms of starting a franchise. He's still only 26 years old. Um, or he just turned 27. I think he's 26. 26. So He's been unbelievable. Austin Reeves, we know how well they played together. And you gotta give credit to LeBron James for basically saying like accepting what was clearly obvious. Like right at 41-year-old LeBron James, for your team to have a chance to compete for a championship, LeBron James can't be your best player. He can't be your second best player. He probably would have to be your third best player to even have a chance to compete for a championship. Now, with that being said, as well as the Lakers are playing, the, they've been gutsy. Aiden has had some moments. Marcus Smart he's not the player he was when he was Defensive Player of the Year, but he's a guy who's a veteran. He's been in the NBA Finals. He's been in a ton of playoff games, so he's not going to be shook by any playoff moments. And he's a good teammate. Like Marcus Smart is a good teammate. I certainly I enjoy watching him play. Just get under people's skin. He's back to that Marcus Smart. He's back to that scrappy, that annoy other teams. That version of him. Not taking bad shots. He's taking open 3-point shots, which is fine. I'm fine with that. You got in today's game, you get an open three, you have to take them. And he understands his role. He's not trying to do too much, which at times was a gift and a curse when he was with the Boston Celtics, despite having Tatum and Brown. So the Lakers are in a nice place right now as the rest of the Western Conference kind of is in flux. Like San Antonio, Denver's Denver, San Antonio is San Antonio. I mean, OKC is OKC, San Antonio, San Antonio. Denver's still trying to figure some shit out, getting people healthy. Houston is falling, and Minnesota has been inconsistent. And now Anthony Edwards is going to be out for a couple of weeks. So the Lakers are in a nice spot to keep the 3 seed. They're in a perfect place to keep the 3 seed. But I'm not going as far as to say that the Lakers are title contenders. You're gonna hear, I'm telling you, the media, the Laker propaganda machine is back. They were quiet for like a month. They are back in business. They could be dangerous. Luca can be the best player in any given series, and playoff LeBron might find some energy. And you're gonna hear that bullshit. And listen, I'll say this. I still think when I look at the matchups, possible matchups, they cannot beat Oklahoma City. They cannot beat I don't think they can beat the Spurs, despite the Spurs youth. I don't think they can beat the Spurs. It's just a bad matchup. Houston, yes. I still favor Minnesota. I would still take Minnesota over them. It's just a bad matchup. As inconsistent as Minnesota can be, we know. And Minnesota's another team, similar to Denver. They've been in playoff battles now. It's almost like Minnesota gets bored with the regular season in a sense. Like I think Minnesota is one of those teams that just plays that's just going to up the ante in the playoffs. So I don't. I'm not going to go crazy on the Lakers. They've been interesting. They've been fun to watch. Everybody, there's clarification as far as whose team it is. Everybody's playing in their specific roles and all that good stuff. So that's fine. Um, and look, you got Luka Doncic. You go out there, they should be fun to watch in the playoffs. That's all I'll say. They'll be fun to watch. But again, they still have to be right now. This is a big game tonight with Houston. Now about time you hear this podcast, that game will be completed. Second time in 3 nights that those two teams have played. This game will be at Houston, and we'll talk more about the Rockets. As a matter of fact, that's good. The Rockets right now are just a game and a half behind the Lakers. And let's talk about the Houston Rockets for a second. Um, Houston right now, 41-26. They are 5-5 in their last 10 games. Um, they find themselves with a 23rd. In terms of offensive efficiency per 100 possessions, they rank 23rd in those 10 games. And defensive efficiency, they rank 20th in defensive efficiency. Şengün was out on Monday against the Lakers, and they certainly missed him because offensively, Houston looked completely lost. That game, that was an interesting game to watch. From a standpoint, it felt like a play. It absolutely felt like a playoff game. The Lakers, who are not going to make anybody forget about the '89 Pistons from a defensive standpoint, they held Houston in that game to 92 points. Yeah, they held Houston in that game to 92 points. Lakers rarely hold anybody under 110 or 105, rarely, unless we're talking about a bottom feeder type team. We're talking about a Wizards. Even those teams have scored a lot of points on the Lakers because normally those games can get ugly when you're playing that level of team. But for the most part, you can score against the Lakers. Houston, in the fourth quarter, had 12 points, 35 points in the second half. Kevin Durant had 16 points at halftime. He had 2 points in the 2 points in the second half. Durant complained post game about how he was used, or I should say misused. Basically complaining about the ball was in his hands. He was easy to defend. Similar like playing 1-on-5 in a sense. Just just typical Kevin Durant shit when shit tends to go wrong. He knows that he's going to get some of the blame or any of the blame. I don't think. By the way, during this streak, Kevin Durant has been 26-6 on 55% shooting. I'm not saying that his level of play has been bad, or even he's been consistently. He's been scoring the ball well. I'm not blaming Kevin Durant uh, for this dip offensively, for this streak that they're on, that this bad streak that they're on. This is a bigger problem that they've had for the better part of the entire season, with lack of another shot creator, as far as a guy that can put the ball on the floor. Bad fourth quarter offense, especially down the stretch. So this has been a recurring problem for the Rockets over the course of the season, and it's got worse. They're playing the worst basketball season. They're playing the worst basketball of the season right now. They have that. They really look. They are, there's talk around the league that you hear about teams saying who they would want to play right now, being one that, if they were like a top three seed, and the Rockets are by far the number one choice. Like, you had a choice between playing Minnesota, playing the Lakers, Denver. Who of those possible teams would you rather see? And again, it's Houston. By far, Houston is a team that people will want to see in the playoffs because their half court offense is non-existent. It's just absolutely non-existent, and that rebounding advantage that they normally have is not as pronounced without Steven Adams. That injury absolutely hurt them now. Even with a healthy Steven Adams, he would not be able to make up for the lack of half court offense. Let me get the Kevin Durant quote. He says, here's what Kevin Durant said. Um, I just felt like I lost the game for us tonight. Okay, that's some accountability. Durant scored 2 points in the second half. Uh, he said committed 7 turnovers in the second half. He had 7 turnovers. He said it's that simple. Of course, we probably could have made more threes, but it's on me. I mean, to be honest, I'm the offense, and the opposing team is going to use all their resource and not let me get comfortable. First half, I got comfortable in ISO, comfortable coming off pin downs, pick and rolls, and they decided to not to let me get comfortable no more. So I got to be smarter, better with the ball. I got to maybe shoot over some of them double teams, but space out. Be ready to catch and shoot. Be ready to be a screener. Just just be in the dunker spot. Um, just being able to be there as a resource for my teammates to provide space. I didn't need to have the ball as much as I did tonight. Okay. So not throwing so he didn't throw his teammates under the bus outside of the we could have made more threes. Took accountability from that standpoint. Here's the bigger issue uh, moving forward with Houston, right? They're not going to win a championship this year. This clearly is not a championship team. Kevin Durant's 37 years old. By the time next season starts, I think his birthday is in September. He'll be 38 by the time when 2026, 27 season begins. You were Houston, the day Houston made that trade to get Kevin Durant, they were absolutely on the clock. Absolutely on the clock. So the ideal that they didn't make any moves during the All Star break was kind of, and again, I'm not saying trade for Giannis. I'm not saying that, but you don't have years to play with Kevin Durant. Like the Kevin Durant is still one of the top probably 15 players in the league right now. Still one of the top 15 to 20 players. Um, I don't. Again, I don't get. I don't get what the plan was. I really believe that they miscalculated, thinking that we can win a championship with the team that's currently constructed. I didn't think they were not a championship team, even with a healthy Fred Van Vliet with the way that, with their half court offense and the way how bad they are in the half court. I mean, he would cure some of the ills as far as shooting, but Van Vliet is not a playmaking point guard. That's never been his style. He's a solid defender, streaky shooter, tough guy, championship player. You know, has had a lot of playoff experience. He's a veteran. He's a good player. He's a solid veteran player. But if I'm Houston, um, this is going to be a swing for the fences off season. Like you have to try to win right now. Um, I think Kevin Durant LeBron entered this conversation and this phase of his career about 2 years ago, I would say. Even last year, he was at this stage, even as a second team player, where the numbers don't equate to the impact on winning. So what I mean by that, Kevin Durant could make third team All NBA this year. He maybe has an outside shot of making second team, but he hasn't raised the level of play of the others around him. Amin Thompson, Shengun, even though Shengun was an all star, made the all star team this year. Like those guys haven't gotten considerably better with him. And that's what happened with LeBron. LeBron would put up these excellent numbers, but he wasn't like going to be the difference between like he could only elevate the team but so far. They could win some regular season games, get to the playoffs, but once you got to the playoffs, the lack of you know, regarding to the Lakers, the lack of athleticism catch up to him, caught up to him, and it has in the past couple of years. And in Kevin Durant's case, uh, their lack of execution down the half court in the half court is going to catch up to them, despite the fact that he is a closer. Um, yeah, he could play off the ball more, but if he is playing off the ball, then who is handling the ball? Like Amin Thompson has a chance to be an all-star caliber player. He has a chance to be a grade A top level. He already is a top level defensive player. Like he'll be in conversations for all. He'll make a number of all defense. But offensively, right now, his defense is far ahead of his offense right now. Offensively, he's a B player right now, a B to B plus player. I mean, he's an A minus defensive player, a B minus B solid B offensive player. That's where he's at right now. He's still only 23 years old. Shengun is is a guy who puts up numbers, but for whatever reason, you know, defensively is defensively is lacking right now. He's probably an A minus offensive player and a D defensive player. Like he's a liability defensively, and he's been called out. He's been called out by Ime Udoka, and the rest hasn't been happy with Şengün at times. So again, Durant has not raised the level of those guys to the to where it needs to be. And I told you before this season, he had a Kevin Durant. This was a perfect situation for him to really put a stamp on his legacy and kind of somewhat rewrite his legacy. This is a perfect team. This was a perfect team to do that. This is a talented team, but it wasn't considered a team that was a ready-made championship team right over then that he would be like this wasn't Golden State 2017 or 2016. Excuse me, 2017. This wasn't Brooklyn 2020 the 2020 considered to be when they added James Harden considered to be an all-star team. Like that this wasn't that. Like you had a young, talented team that lost a tough 7 game playoff series last year to Golden State, and he had a chance to be that guy to be possibly the final piece to a championship puzzle. Let me get back to LeBron for a second. I said earlier in the podcast that LeBron could not be first, second best player to win on a championship team. I gotta be honest, don't Durant can't be your best player on the championship team. He can't right now. He did like that's just not going to happen. I'm not going to say I think Durant is a little better. I think Durant right now is a better player than LeBron. Uh, LeBron is like 4 years older, so I think LeBron. I think Durant is slightly a better player, not by much, but probably has a little bit more juice left in his career. But I I think like if Durant if you want to win a championship, Durant clearly has to be your clear number two. I don't think it could be. He can't be one. It can't be one versus one A. I think he has to be a clear cut. It's evident that he has to be a clear number two. I thought possibly that if Şengün and Amin Thompson took the necessary jumps that could offset the fact that Durant could possibly that maybe if they took the necessary jumps that Durant could maybe be the best player on a championship team, maybe. I had doubts, but maybe if those guys went to another level, they've been good. They haven't been. Listen, they haven't been. I'm not saying they. I'm not saying that they have been bad. They haven't. They've been solid. They've been pretty good, but they haven't taken that they haven't taken a big enough jump to put Houston in that conversation to compete for a championship. And again, listen, it's gonna be again. I'm already. I know it's March, and I'm seemingly writing no obituary for Houston. But you watch Houston play. This team, even the vibes, the energy doesn't seem good. And again, we can get into the burner accounts. We can get into the all that nonsense that happened during I think the All Star break with that at Dickerson or whatever his alleged burner account. He's talking this alleged account that he was talking shit about Sengun allegedly. That is not. I don't. Again, it wouldn't be shocking if it was true. I know it's been talked about that, but to me, their half court offense has been an issue uh, all season long, and they're gonna have a very interesting off season to say the least. And keep this in mind about Kevin Durant since 2020. So he gets to the finals in 2019, but Golden State, of course, gets hurt, tears his Achilles. We know that story. Since 2020, he's won two playoff series, two, just two. Uh, First round in 21, and a one round in 2023. Got swept and got didn't make the playoffs in 25. Swept in Minnesota in 24 in the second round. In the first round, swept by Boston in 22, and of course lost the second round against Milwaukee. The year Milwaukee won the entire thing. Two playoff series. We're more than halfway through the decade. He has two playoff series wins. So listen, he puts up the numbers. The numbers again, the numbers don't equate to that that overall impact on winning. And again, part of it, and just be fair about it, a part of this too is how deep the league is. And the league over the last 5 or 6 years, the league has gotten better as far as the amount of quality teams there are. I understand that's hard for me to say when you see the tanking and what have you, but if you even look at the roster of some of the bad teams, there's talent, and these teams have improved. Like look at it again. Look at the improvement in the Eastern Conference. Look what Atlanta's doing right now. Look what Charlotte is doing right now. Those teams have gotten better. Orlando just had their win streak snapped at 9. I think Atlanta is on a 10-game win streak right now. So a couple minutes on the NCAA tournament. The first four in play in, so to speak, has already begun. Um, the field of 68 will be complete um, tonight. And if the official start of the tournament, the real tournament, again, no disrespect to the play in, but the real tournament, of course, will start tomorrow afternoon. I'm really, I'm, I'm really, despite the fact that North Carolina lost Caleb Wilson, which again, I don't think Carolina was a championship team. They were not a championship team, but I wanted to see Caleb Wilson in the tournament, and at least Carolina could have been somewhat interesting. But despite that, I'm really looking forward to this tournament. Um, there is a, it was, I thought college basketball had a great season, to be honest with you, with this exciting freshman class, one of the better classes of the decade. Possibly has a chance to be a generational freshman class. We'll see. But the overall quality of play was strong this year. Like the NBA, excuse me, the NCAA was deep as far as quality teams. Um, I'm looking at some of these seeds, like you have uh, BYU is a 6 seed. Like BYU is a very good team, and like AJ Demaster could go out there and get 40 in a game. St. John's as a 4 seed. Uh, so Louisville is a 6 seed. Arkansas is a 4 seed. Wisconsin is a 5 seed. Again, I don't think this is going to be a chalk tournament. I do think there's a lot of power up top with the first 8 seeds. Um, I think you'll see a lot of exciting matchups. Like I said, I think you'll see a lot of exciting matchups. I don't think there are going to be a number of overwhelming upsets. I think this will be a summer. I think for the most part, this will be chalk. Uh, top 25, uh, top 25 teams definitely separated themselves, especially like the top 10 teams this year separated themselves. Alabama as a 4 seed. I understand what happened with the dude who probably won't be eligible to play, doing some dumb shit. Um, so Tennessee as a 6 seed. So I like overall I like Arizona to win the whole thing. Arizona was the most impressive team. that I saw from start to finish consistently. Duke is banged up. We'll see when they get. They're gonna. We'll see if they get to the Final Four. Kevin Foster, I think, won't be able to come back until Final Four. Plus, Duke is in a brutal region. Uh, that Duke region is just. You're talking about St. John's as a five, Kansas as a four, Michigan State as a three. Then you have UConn as a two. That's easily to me the toughest region out there. Again, I don't see the situation where I'm trying to think of a seed below four that could possibly get to the Final Four, and that to me is a Cinderella. Like any top, like a four seed to the Final Four, anything below, anything four and above is not Cinderella. Once you now when you get five seed and below, that's a Cinderella. Um, St. John's, possibly, possibly St. John's. Looking at the yeah, I don't see. I'm looking at these. I don't see a seed past five that can pass four that can get to a Final Four. Vanderbilt's a five seed. Not in love with them. Maybe they can win a game, possibly Sweet 16. But I think this is going to be you know, this is going to be the type of tournament where you'll have like at least, I think you have minimum two number ones. You'll have two number ones, maybe a number two and a number four. But I would be surprised if there was a seed below four that got to the Final Four. I really would. Um, I mean, Purdue jumped up to a number three seed. Florida before Florida had a a brain fart in the SEC tournament, but they're gonna be right there as well. They were playing great basketball down the stretch. From a conference standpoint, I still don't, and I watch because I watched a lot of ACC basketball with North Carolina. I don't trust outside of Duke. I don't trust any of these ACC teams, even Virginia. I'm sorry, I don't trust it. Outside of Duke. I don't think any of these ACC teams will get to the second week. I think that'll be it. Outside of Duke, I think this is going to be a Big 12, Big 10 dominated tournament. Big 12 and Big 10. All right, we're going to wrap up with real thoughts. Of course, you had a Oscars that people will not forget about for the future anytime soon. Michael B. Jordan wins an eventful Oscars. Just a lot of shit was happening on Oscar night. Um, happened on Oscar night. Some most of it good, but we'll get to one particular situation which I just don't understand how it could have happened, but we'll discuss that. Congratulations to Michael B. Jordan winning Best Oscar, Best Actor for Sinners. Joins only the sixth African American man to ever win an Oscar, joining the likes of Sidney Poitier, Denzel Washington, Will Smith, Jamie Foxx, and Forrest Whitaker. Um, he really it like the momentum that this he came out of nowhere. This was like I would say this. I would make this comparison, and we'll talk about Timothy Chalamet in a second, but it really was remarkable how this came about. Um, I thought that he would get nominated, but I'll be honest with you, when he got nominated, I think late January. I think that was like I think late January, early February, probably late January. I didn't think there was a chance, zero chance that he would win at that time. I just thought that I didn't see it. But you know, you get a lot of things happen. Let me say something. A lot of things happened for him to win this Oscar. Number one, You had Timothy Chalamet with probably the worst press run that see with just he just became just annoying, and he pissed a lot of people off in the academy. Um, the academy. This is what you have to recognize about the academy. This is what you have to realize about the academy. First of all, you don't see too many under 40 actors win Best Oscar. Win Best Oscar. Just I mean, and Michael B is 39. So, and that's young. That's actually young for a Best Actor Oscar. Most of these guys easily in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. They give a lot of old guys get it. We saw Anthony Hopkins beat out Chadwick Boseman in 2021, but they don't go 30 for the most part. Not too many male actors that win Best Actor at that particular age. Um, the Academy does not. The Academy is not trying to appease young people. They not. The Academy is an entity amongst itself. They don't go out here chasing Gen Z, chasing Generation Alpha, whatever millennials. That's not the Academy is not on that type of energy. They gonna do what they do and keep it moving. And if you you don't even have to piss them off, but if you remotely annoy the Academy, they will simply move on to the next person. Michael B. Jordan, along with Delroy Lindo, gets called nigger at an award show. He became somewhat of a sympathetic figure. He's already well liked and respected. Doesn't have any dirt on his name as far as off any shit that he's done that's embarrassed himself. No criminal, none of that shit. And he hasn't pissed off. Doesn't that again? He's well respected. Been around now for 25 years. It was just it was a perfect storm, and I'm glad he won it. I'm glad he won it. I rewatched Sinners last this past weekend. I again the some of the and every time you watch it, you pick up on something new. His performance gets better every time I watch the movie. I've seen it like 4 times now. The new when I first saw the movie, I couldn't really tell the difference between the twins that he was playing. When I saw it in the theater, I didn't notice it as, but each viewing is more pronounced that yeah, these were two completely different characters. It really was. It really was a remarkable performance. Oscar winning performance to say the least. To say the least. So hats off to him. Um, very interesting to see where he goes with this. I hope he doesn't go the Jamie Foxx uh, route where you are, or Holly Berry route where you win an Oscar and then if you're Holly Berry, you become a Bond girl, which was a mistake. Jamie Foxx was in Stealth after his Oscar win, which I completely understand. So, you know, listen, having an Oscar is great, but you still have to make the right choices as far as some of the movies that you're in. You can become an obscure Oscar winner very quickly in Hollywood. I've seen it. I've seen it happen. Cuba Gooding Jr. It happened to Cuba Gooding Jr. Cuba Gooding Jr. after Jerry Maguire. Look at his career after Jerry Maguire. He had one movie that I meant to honor. Outside of that, it not a lot following that Oscar he won after Jerry Maguire. I said outside of Men of Honor. So he has his whole future ahead of him. 39 years old. Um, and he, you know, again, like I said, it was an incredible performance. The movie, you know, the more and more I think about the movie Sinners, the more and more I think that it should have won Best Director, and it should have won for Best Picture. And I've been really thinking about that over the course of the last couple of days. Um, I didn't think I thought Sinners was the best movie I saw in 2025. I saw one battle after another after Sinners. Well after Sinners, of course. And one battle after another came out, I think September. I saw it in October. And I still thought, and I thought it was close. I thought it was close, but I still thought Sinners was slightly better. Now, I have not went back and rewatched one battle after another since. I will eventually, but to me, as far as just the impact on culture, as far as moving culture, I don't think it's any question to me. I think Sinners should have been should have won for best picture and for best director. Now again, Sinners gets 16 nominations, they win four, so you get best original screenplay, you get best actor, um, the cinematography, and there's one other one that I'm leaving out. That I'm leaving out that they won. Apologize to the person if they were listening. But 4 for 16. Listen, 4 for 16 beats 0 for 11. If you remember, The Color Purple completely got shut out. I think they had 11 nominations and didn't win nothing in like 85 and 86. And no one remembers out of Africa. That's Out of Africa beat out Color Purple, which, not one of the Oscars' finer moments to say the least. Um, so it's gonna be interesting because I look at Sinners and I look at one battle after another, kind of like you look at two great quarterbacks or two great NBA players who get drafted in the same year. They are always going to be joined at the hip. They're always going to be compared to each other. Um, the discourse, listen, the discourse has been fine. If you ride with Sinners, you ride with Sinners. But if you ride one battle after another, you ride one battle after another. That's fine as well. And it has some incredible performances in that movie. But what I will say is you can't shit on either one of these movies. These are both high level, well made movies. You can't be up here and be like, I love Sinners. One battle after another was trash. It was not one battle after another was not trash. It just wasn't. Like you can't. That movie was well directed, well written, um, well acted. All like you can't say either one of these films was a bad movie because now it's just like now it's hard for me to take anybody's opinion seriously. You can listen. I don't care. You can be biased. I'm fine. I'm biased towards Sinners. I'll admit it. I'm biased towards Sinners. But one battle after another was a excellent movie. That's all there is to it. Yeah, like it's like, and I think Sinners should have won both. Should have won more awards, but four is a nice number. Four. I mean, 16 is a lot. That's a lot of nominations. But four, again, I've seen the Academy. You know, I've seen the Academy shit on black movies that have been nominated. I'm telling you. So this is actually somewhat of an improvement. And when you take on Best Actor, that's that's the biggest award. Like if you're ranking the awards, I guess Best Picture is the biggest award. Best Picture, then Director, then Actor. And actor, maybe picture, actor, then director. So whatever. Best actor is a top three award in the Oscar. So Sean Penn skips the Oscars. Was chilling with his man Zelensky in Ukraine. He made history becoming like only the fourth male to win Oscars. His two best actor Oscars, and this one was supporting. I would just be curious and to know because Sean Penn was at the he won in he won in '04, won in '09 for best actor for Mystic River and Milk in 2009. He was at both those wars. I would want to know what happened between 2009 and 2026. Um Now again, we he's always been political, which is fine, but you know, he showed up. He showed up to at least one of these awards as well. So it's not like he didn't ditch every award ceremony this season. He did a few of them, but he showed up to like one of them. But you know, that's fine. That's his right. He still won. They still like the Academy. As much as he hates them, they still love him apparently. And that was a great. I mean, that was a great performance. I said at the time when I saw the movie that that's going to be he's going to win Best Supporting Actor. That's going to Oscar nominated act. That's a Oscar nominated performance. So I'm not surprised. Um, Not surprised at all. The I had watched the Oscar ceremony and maybe damn probably since Jamie Foxx won in '05. So probably like 20 years, close to 20 years. I hadn't watched the Oscars. You can't have a situation if you're the Academy Award. So cutting off the K-pop, the speech is getting cut off, which is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. K-pop, I mean, come on, like you gave them like 25 seconds at most, 25 seconds to speak. They didn't even get a full minute. So that shit was listen, and the most damning thing that happened, damning thing that happened at the Oscars was Tiana Taylor gets pushed by an Oscar security guard. It was absolutely fucking ridiculous. And Oscars can bring out a statement. We're looking into this. We apologize and blah blah blah. How the fuck does that remotely happen? Like what are we doing? She's headed towards taking a picture for because one ballot after another, one for best casting, and she's trying to catch up with the rest of the cast, and you don't know who Tiana Taylor is. I find it impossible to believe that you don't know who Tiana Taylor is. Like I really, it's like no, like come on, like what are we doing here? Like she's been in the spotlight for well over a decade. Um, Been acting. Tiana Taylor, remember, Tiana Taylor was in. I don't think people realize this. It was so long ago, 2016, 17. She was in this show on VH1 called The Breaks. Um, so she's been around. She's been around for a few years now. She just didn't. She's not a newbie to acting and entertainment. And when it doesn't, I'm not even counting her singing career. Like she's been all over the place from a standpoint of singing. So it's just bullshit that unfortunately that black woman has to go through from that standpoint. It was completely ridiculous. And the Oscars, that should be beyond embarrassment. Beyond embarrassed that shit like that is still happening uh, to anybody, let alone a black woman, a person of color, a black woman. But overall, I thought Oscars was pretty good. They might as well start the show at this point because it seems like they're rushing. They do a lot of rushing. They might as well start the show at 6 o'clock. Like they just go 6 to 10, whatever. It's gonna be. You should be like it's gonna be 4 hours. It's gonna be 3.5 hours long, easily minimum baseline 3.5 hours. You give themselves some grace. Do 6 to 10 and keep it moving. Again, that cutting off speeches was just it looks bad. It doesn't it looks bad on television. It's horrible production to cut off someone's speech, especially when the speech has not been that long or they haven't got barely got anything out. I will end with the Target boycott, which is still ongoing. We had a situation last week where Pastor Jamal Bryant went on. I believe he went on Instagram and made an announcement that the Target boycott, uh, the Target fast, let me get that correct because that's a very important distinction. The Target fast had ended and went on to discuss um, the demands that Target had met, 3 or 4 demands that Target had met during the year-long fast. And of course, you had a outraged response on social media in regards to that. People saying that who made Jamal Bryant the leader of the boycott per se. Um, Nakima Levy Armstrong, who's a civil rights attorney in Minneapolis, along with Monique Collins Doty, they have been on the ground in Minneapolis with the Target boycott, running the Target boycott since last January. Um, the Nakima Levy Armstrong went on a tangent, uh, just completely eviscerating Jamal Bryant, um, Tamika Mallory, and Nina Turner, former Senator Nina Turner. Um, Basically saying that those three had cherry picked, uh, had jumped on the Target boycott that she started, along with that was started in Minneapolis, and that she really has zero, that doesn't have respect for any of those, for any of them, for any of those people whatsoever. Um, she went on Roland Martin. She was doing podcasts. She wrote an op-ed, her own op-ed, and refused to make a distinction between the fast and the boycott. Just she went right into saying that Jamal Bryant said that the Target boycott was ending. And again, to be fair, Jamal Bryant, he never said that the Target boycott was over. He said that the Target fast was over, and that fast was over. And that's a very important uh, distinction. Before we get into the mess of this situation, let's get into what has transpired since the boycott slash fast started last January of 2025. It's now well over 400 days. Target has lost $12.5 billion in market value. Their stock prices have dropped 30%. Um, the CEO, Brian Cornell, resigned. Um, they so they've been this by all measures. This has been a successful up to this point a successful boycott. Now, obviously, Target has not publicly apologized. They've been silent. They haven't spoken out. They haven't come out and really said anything. To be honest with you, still some of the DEI demands have not been met. That was like the fourth demand, one of the demands that had not been met. All right, so so that's been the positives that we can take from this boycott. Here's what I'll say in regards to these separate factions that are not in agreement as to who started the boycott, messaging and communication and all that stuff. And for the record, Tamika Mallory has not responded. I haven't heard Tamika Mallory has not responded to Nikema Levy Armstrong and those and the accusations that she made towards her and Nina Turner and also Jamal Bryant. Jamal Bryant came on his podcast like a day later and apologized. Um, Here's what he said: I've heard your emphatic outcry that it wasn't just about those four boycott demands, but Target, in the community's estimation, was a prime candidate for cancellation. He says, I made assumptions that were not true, and I wanted to apologize to you for being a leader that's out of touch. Let the record reflect and show that it was Black women that started this movement. When should a boycott end? Can we continually hold a company accountable moving forward if we boycott? Jamal Bryant was speaking. In essence, Jamal Bryant, when he came out and spoke, was speaking for the Target Fast. He was not speaking for Nina Turner or Tamika Mallory. Now, all three of those individuals work together, though. Make no mistake about it. They're all somewhat in cahoots in terms of in terms of this boycott slash fast. Bryant, Mallory, and Turner. Make that clear, right? Um, I'm gonna deal with the messaging in a second. I don't care. And I mean, I legitimately don't give a shit about who gets the credit or who doesn't get the credit. I genuinely don't give a shit. I really don't. Um, Anybody that has chosen to boycott Target, you are a part of this, and you should be given credit. We are. We all have. I mean, anybody that's chosen to boycott Target, a part of the fast, you should be given credit for it. A boycott does not belong to anybody. You can't trademark a boycott. So we see two situations where this is where we're at in society right now. It's the attention Olympics. It's the addiction to attention. Jamal Bryant absolutely should not have come out and said anything. Regardless of what his intentions were, it looks like a look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. Shouldn't come out and said a word. Shouldn't said nothing. Um, okay. I heard Nikema Levy Armstrong, and some of her points were valid. Um, she mentioned that black women over the course of history have kind of been erased as far as not getting the proper amount of credit for the civil rights movement. And she mentioned points, excellent points about patriarchy, which in a sense still somewhat exists to this day. And I understand what she was trying to say in regards to you know, we've been here on the ground. You you just came in, came out of nowhere and joined something that we started. It doesn't matter. Again, no one owns a boycott. Anybody can participate. It's not. It is about it getting shit done. I don't care. She mentioned something about Jamal Bryant winning a Route 100 award for been given a Route 100 award for his involvement in the Target boycott and how prestigious that award is within the culture community. Again, that doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter who gets the credit. Are we getting shit done? That's the bottom line. That's it. Like I don't care about who gets the credit, and no one should care about who gets the credit. The biggest problem that came out of this was the messaging part of it. Again, Jamal Bryant shouldn't have spoke out, came out and said anything, but he specifically did not say the boycott was over. The Target boycott was over. He said the Target fast was over. Because there's a lack outside of Roland Martin Unfiltered, a lack of black owned media in terms of news. We don't we don't have a voice in the black, in terms of black media and news. We don't like other people can tell our story for us. So the national media ran with the fact, oh, Target boycott ended. Target boycott ended. No, there's a distinction between a fast and a boycott. That distinction was not explained by the mainstream national media. And of course not. Of course not. They love the bullshit. They love uh Nakima Levy Armstrong criticizing Nina Turner and Tamika Mallory and what have you. They love that type of shit. They love the gossip shit. They love the messy that aspect of it. Of course, they're not gonna focus on number one, the boycott's not over, and number two, how Target has been impacted by the boycott. They're not gonna focus on that. So that is that is a major problem for our community as far as black owned news. I'm not talking. I don't get. We have enough. reality shows. We have enough society and culture podcasts. We have enough sports podcasts. We have one guy that's doing news and news that's doing 24-hour news. That's one. We have one. Roland S. Martin. That's it. It's not enough. And he broke, to his credit, he broke down the difference between the Target boycott and the fast. How that and showed you the timeline of when this started, who started what, when, step by step by step, to his credit. But he's a black man and he reports news from a black perspective. We need more of that. I'm sorry. That's to me that was the biggest indictment of this whole entire situation. The lack of messaging. That is problematic. Um, we got to a point now where when this Warner Brothers Paramount deal goes through, like, and again, I saw an article today about from the New York Times about Cesar Chavez allegedly sexually assaulting years ago. Now, I want to provide space for victims of sexual assault and what have you. I, but in today's climate, with the news, with the mainstream newspapers, with the fact that there a lot of these newspapers and outlets are owned by right wing Trump ass kissers. I, I have doubts about that. I have doubts that story that's even true. I have to see more. I can't immediately jump and says this guy, did this. That he did this. He's a person of color. It's a perfect deflection off the war in Iran. So this is how Trump is moving. This is how he moves. He wants to control the media. He wants to control the media, the narrative. He wants to control your thoughts about what type of news messaging that you see from these news organizations that he's going to own, not directly own, but the guys who own them be in cahoots with him, like a Larry Ellison. So independent news is more important now than ever, ever. Period. So that was to me the biggest thing that came out of this was, and again, people on the internet going buck wild. Oh, the boycott ended. Who said the boycott? So the boycott ended? No, the boycott did not end. And by the way, if you're somebody, let me respond to the outrage about Jamal Bryant's statement. I don't care what Jamal Bryant said. It doesn't mean you have to follow. You could have been like, oh well, I don't. We not. I'm still boycotting Target. You still have a right to boycott Target. I don't care what. Even Jamal. Now again, he didn't say that the boycott was ending. He said the fast was ending. But even let's hypothetically say that he said the boycott was ending. You still can. You still have the right to be like, you know what? Okay, I see. I hear what he's saying, but number one, I'm gonna go seek more information. Number two, I'm still not rocking with Target. So a unfortunate situation, but let's look at the positives in terms of how much Target has been hurt and some of the stuff that's happened um, in regards to the some of the demands that they allegedly gave into with black-owned businesses and HBCUs. Now again, um, still a long way to go. Still a long way to go from that standpoint. That's going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Real Deal Podcast. Enjoy the rest of your evening, the rest of your week. So long.